So, you're back for more. I don't know why after the last video you decided you wanted to stick around. Maybe you like the content, maybe you just like hearing me ramble. I honestly have no clue, but you're back. So, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the video. If you saw last week's video and the video that was like almost 5 months ago, you know I've been really getting into wargaming, and as of last week's video, I talked about why I like the Dark Angels out of all the Space Marines. Not my best video, I will admit, but I am going to kind of stick with this. I did say I was going to make these videos, and I do want to commit to it, so I am going to be pushing through. So, this video probably would have actually launched like a few days ago or something like that, but ironically I decided, because I had forgotten that the Helldivers II Warhammer crossover was going to be revealed trailer-wise on July 30th, I decided to wait for the trailer to drop so that way I could see what kind of content came out to talk about it a little bit here in the video. But, yeah, we'll get into that later. So, bit of it, you already kind of know what the video is about. We are going to be talking about, ladies and gentlemen, the Astra Militarum, the Guard of the Imperium. Now, I know, a lot of you oldie guys who have been around for a long time are going to be like, Astra Miller, what? You're in the Guard, so I know. Okay? I am aware it is called the Imperial Guard. I understand. I vibe with the fact it's called the Imperial Guard over the Astra Militarum. However, a lot of the Games Workshop marketing in recent times has been calling them almost pretty much the Astra Militarum. So as a result, we will be using the two interchangeably. Alright? It's like, what's something that's kind of like got two names interchangeably? I can't think of a thing. You know what? This is going to be horrible. We're going to compare it to like tomato and tomato. It's the same thing. I know it's not, but you get what I mean. Point being, we're going to talk about the Guard. We're going to talk about the fact that I, honest to God, have fallen in love with the Guard way more than I have with the Dark Angels. And the only reason I haven't sold my entire collection of Dark Angels to build a Guard army is because I actually do still like the Dark Angels. But I like the Guard a lot more. And we're going to talk about that in today's video. Like I said in the previous one, these are going to basically be some basic gameplay in the background, a one-take recording. That's basically going to be what this video is. Yeah, we're just going to shoot right into it. So, the Guard. If you don't know what the Guard is, I kind of mentioned in the last video. Basically, in the Warhammer setting, the Guard, or the Astra Militarum, these are the basic humans. These are the basic schmoes and joes, your Janes and whatnot. These are all your average dudes and ladies who are forced into military conscription to fight for and to defend the Imperium, which is basically humanity's big faction, across the galaxy. And let us put it this way. If the Space Marines were all wiped out from existence, the Imperium would probably fall within, like, what is it? Like, weeks, months, maybe? If the Guard ceased to exist, the Imperium would not last a day. For the millions of Space Marines that are out there, there are billions upon trillions upon millions of Guardsmen that are out there. And these aren't super genetically super engineered soldiers that are like engineered to feel no fear and have extra organs and just be those dudes. This is literally like your neighbors, your siblings, your parents, and your kids. They're just given a gun, they're given armor, and the gun is compared to a flashlight, despite the fact that this is a laser gun, a las gun, is basically the equivalent of shooting a laser that can melt certain things when it, like, just straight up melt shit when it shoots into it. They're given this, it's considered the equivalent of a fucking flashlight in the setting. And these people are told, good luck, go die. Like, yeah, sure. Millions and millions of Guardsmen die at every battle. And I think there's at least one battle event that makes it that the average of that battle, a Guardsman life was like average of 15 hours. From what I understand, I'm still doing a lot of lore diving. but from what I understand, that's a thing. It's not the common thing, but it is a thing that happens. And you know what? I'm gonna say it. I think the Guard is peak. Where else are you gonna find a bunch of people in different worlds, different cultures, different warfare tactics and everything? And these are none of these people are bioengineered or genetically enhanced or mechanically enhanced, except for maybe a couple of missing limbs or something like that. You give them the equivalent of a flashlight and tell them to go kill Satan. Where else do you find something that cool other than like the Doom guy? Even the Doom guy is like a thing. Like you could compare this to like the Helldivers, the ODST from Halo. I'm gonna be honest, I've never played a Halo game because I've never owned an Xbox, so I don't know what I'm talking about there. But like that's a thing. I know it's a thing. You can all comment about how I should play Halo 3 ODST. I have had plenty of people recommend that game. Where it's like, granted, I'm not a fan of the Empire, but even like Star Wars with the freaking Empire and all the pro-humanity, based as hell. Like I say jokingly half the time, but also seriously, it was humanity who was made in God's image, not the alien. So, is it any wonder why I like the Guard? But, obviously, why are they called Le Guard? I'm gonna be honest, at this point, I'm just gonna go ahead and link this in like the description or something. There is a Crack Duck video where he talks about the Guard, and he talks about why they're amazing. And I'm gonna be honest, Crack Duck kinda hits like 95% of the sentiment I have, lore-wise. They are super cool. We don't need to sit here and listen to me ramble for the same content for like 20 minutes. Go check out Crack Duck's video. This is not sponsored. He's got a good video. I recommend it. Anyway, to sum it up, like I said before, you got all these average common Joes who are literally, I am repeating myself here. You have these people who are going out and they're fighting demons, they're fighting aliens, they're fighting corrupted humans who are either deciding to worship demons or worship aliens. Like, these people are slugging it out the good 1-2, like that 1-212 clone that's jukeboxing a freaking battle droid in the Revenge of the Sith. You know what I'm talking about. I am not putting that in the background. Go find it yourself. But like, these guys are amazing. And obviously, the Guard has a lot of different variables and varieties. You have these dudes who are called the Cadians, who are literally the poster boys with the most generic Starship Trooper armor in like the faction and setting. And these guys are the generic, like, considerably the like poster boys because they protected a planet that was literally the Eye of Terror, that was basically the mouth opening of hell itself in like space or something like that. And these guys looked at it for 10,000 years and flipped it off for 10,000 years until some evil dude decided he had enough and threw a giant space station equivalent into the planet to destroy it. And you know what happened? The planet broke, and as the planet was falling apart, these dudes were still shooting their guns at the enemies. You can't tell me these people aren't based. Like, okay, yeah, I get it. The Cadians are everywhere. They're the most model kit and army out there. But you can't tell me that Cadia is not based as hell. Then you have dudes who are like the Death Corps of Krieg that everybody loves. That is basically just World War I trench warfare in space with a mishmash of like British, French, German aesthetics and stuff like that. You can't tell me that doesn't look or sound cool when you learn about them. They might even be clones of some sort, being grown from bat tubes maybe. It's not confirmed. But the Krieg book written by Steve, is it Lyons or Leons? I don't know. I'll figure that out another time. Book is hella based. I actually read that. Shout out to like a family member who bought me that book. I get a lot of people don't like that book. I love that book. That is amazing. That got me so hyped in the Guard. I almost want to start a Krieg army because of it. You got dudes like Catachan Jungle Fighters. Take Rambo. Take freaking Snake, like Naked or Solid Snake. Your choice and stuff like that. Grab the bandana. Grab the Vietnam camo. Throw those guys in the jungle. And it's basically just Space Rambo on steroids. They're classic 1980s action heroes kind of thing. Like, you got Arnold Schwarzenegger and Commando and the Predator and all that. You got the Predator team in there too. Like, I'm just saying. You got variety. You got the Valhalla Ice Warriors that are basically just Soviet-Russian tactics. I'm not a big fan of the winter, so I don't really care. But, base. You've got, like, what else is there? Hold on. I'm drawing a blank, and I swear there's way more I could talk about. You've got the Armageddon Steel Legion that are actually probably like the World War II German Blitzkrieg tactics with the mechanized stuff. And they live on a planet that is constantly... I'm sorry. They live on a planet called Armageddon. They have an old dude who is so badass that Space Marines respect him because he decided that he wasn't going to die like a chump. And he actually not only killed an orc boss, but he took his claw, like his mechanized claw, as his own replacement arm after losing his own. And then he got a laser eye that shoots death beams because the orcs feared him because of his stare. You can't tell me the Armageddon Steel Legion with their gas mask aesthetics and their mechanized assault things are not cool as hell. You got the, who else is there? You got the Talarn Desert Raiders that are basically just Middle East tactics with freaking specialty in tanks. How the hell do desert people specialize in guerrilla stealth tactics with tanks? Explain that to me. Where does that make any sense? Dope as hell. You got the Mordian Iron Guard that makes that Mordian Glory love so much. Those dudes are basically not only they're military, constantly in parade form and dress uniforms, but they are also their world's police force. Like, dope as hell. Like, and there are so many more other regiments out there. There's probably more regiments than people on this world. Not actually, but at this point in the Warhammer universe, you can definitely believe it. You've got the Vostroyan Firstborn. These are basically like, what is it? Like, they're the Russians before the Soviets happened, I think. I don't remember what they're called. I don't care enough about Russian history. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. But, like, they got the whole thing. They probably do the Katowski kick or whatever the fuck that Russian dance is called kind of thing. As they sit there with their Adidas looking... no, I'm kidding. They don't wear Adidas. They send all of their firstborn children to join the Vostroyan Firstborn regiments to fight for the thing. And the rest of the family that aren't firstborns, they're at home on their icy planet that manufactures stuff, making equipment for their family. I'm not gonna keep going because that's first off dope as hell, and I could list like way more regiments in concepts or actually written lore. And we could keep going about this. But I think after about almost 13 minutes, I've pretty much nailed the fact that these dudes are dope as hell. It is literally your schmoes, your joes, and your bros out there duking it with the good old 1-2 against Satan and any aliens that they find out there. Because you know what? We don't take aliens in this world, like in this universe. We don't take demons in this universe. We give them the good old 1-2 flash pow pow goddamn gunshots. I love America. I'm sorry, that is completely irrelevant to this. But we're moving on. One take. We're doing this in one take. So we've talked a lot about the lore. Obviously, Krieg, like I mentioned, I really like the book Krieg. I'm honestly considering... I've got a couple of regiments I'm considering picking up books for. I'm considering picking up a couple of other Krieg books. I'm thinking about picking up a couple of Cadian books. I'm thinking of picking up some Catachan books. I really want to pick up a Tempestus Scions or a Khazarkin book because I really like the Special Forces concepts in the Warhammer setting. I'm also thinking about picking up some Tanith First and Only, or the Gaunt's Ghosts as they're known. Dope as hell regiment, by the way. But yeah, so if any of you are big Guard fans, you're big novel fans, you really like some of the books, go ahead and give a recommendation down in the comments. I really do want to know what you guys recommend. What are some books that I should save up and pick up for? Because I'm not rich enough to buy every single Black Library book that contains the words Guard or Astra Militarum. But I do have enough money occasionally that I can maybe buy like a book a month or something like that. I'm just kidding. I probably have more than that. I don't know. I'm just rambling. Anyway, moving aside from that, I think we've established the lore and the fact that I think the book is really good. let's go talk about the tabletop now. Because if I don't talk about this, like, alright, tabletop-wise, the Guard are essentially a horde army. What is the pros? You have a lot of your army on the board. You have a lot of troops. You have a lot of tanks. You have a lot of artillery. You have just a ton of things all over the board. If you do it right, you could probably run over 300 infantry if you so chose to. Now, I wouldn't do that because I'm not crazy, and unfortunately, unlike Morty and a couple of other local people, I don't love running 300 infantry something on the board. I want to see a mix of infantry, I want to see a mix of tanks, and I want to see a mix of artillery. Because the Guard's artillery looks dope. And what do you mean you can reach 240 inches with one of your artillery? Bro, you can hit like the other end of a building with the game going or something like that. What do you mean you have that kind of range? Anyway, I will say though, I do like the fact that you get a lot more models, and I really do like the order mechanics where you get to tell them, like, you give your officers distribute orders to different units and stuff accordingly. So like your infantry officers can give orders out to infantry units. Your tank commanders give out orders to your tanks and stuff like that. You have the thing, move, 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 where you get like what, 3 extra inches, or what is it? Fixed bayonets for increased weapon skill. Not like many of your infantry are going to be getting into melee range. And if you are getting into melee range, you are just sending them into the grinder, or you have a specific unit in mind that is actually designated for it. What's the other one? I think it's take aim, where you increase your ballistic skills so you have better shooting and stuff like that. Like, that works. That's really great, actually. I really do like that, especially for tanks. I think what really appeals to me is the fact that the Guard is one of those that is just so customizable. It's so unique, and I feel like just in a table lore, like in a narrative setting, I feel like it makes sense to just have the Guard be a faction to play on the tabletop, because especially for like Crusades and everything, I have a hard time sometimes justifying why the Dark Angels are at places. So I have to just grab any little snippets of bits. Like, if you guys have seen the Armageddon video and stuff, you know I play Dark Angels not because I only have one army, but like, we've run through the Brian Nexus crusade, and my justification for Dark Angels being there was, a bit of a spoiler alert for the lore, in the Pariah Nexus book, Vashtor the Archthane shows up with this wormwood planet, and basically it's like in the Pariah Nexus looking for something. So my lore was that my Dark Angels were hunting Vashtor the Archthane, and had heard that he had shown up there, and were basically rocking up to go and beat his ass, blow up wormwood, or something like that. When we did Armageddon, I didn't really have a lore justification for my Dark Angels being there. They kind of just showed up to help out. I think the lore aspect I kind of had in mind was like, hey, you know, like, the Lions got a mission that some of the other chapters have to go, but in order to go that way, they got to pass through Armageddon, so the Lion is sending the Dark Angels ahead of them in order to kind of provide some assistance and kind of give cover so the rest of the Dark Angels can slip by. And then we started doing 500 worlds. I didn't make any videos on 500 worlds because of the fact that the pace was, I was still figuring out what was going on, and I've been really busy and haven't really had time to sit and be able to be like, oh, hey, all this, like, logistics and stuff was happening and stuff, and actually make a video out of it. But my justification was because the Lion shows up with the book to help, like, he's like looking for Gilliman, his brother, and he's like, we need to talk. Like, okay, sure. The Lion showed up with the Dark Angels. That makes sense, but like, I feel like in most of these campaigns or things where I have a hard time justifying a lot of this, I feel like the Guard is an easy one. It's like, oh, they're just stationed here. Done. Move on. Next. You know, like. But I will say, when it comes to tabletop, getting back to it, I really do like the tactics. I really do kind of like how the Guard is a very much like a, hey, we're going to be all over the board, and while we may not be the best at killing you, we're definitely going to make it like, you're gonna have to have a good board presence and wipe us pretty well. Like, and I will say, I played 2 games at the end of 10th edition playing with Guard, and I really enjoyed it. I really did enjoy running a lot of vehicles and tanks and stuff like that, and like, it was actually kind of fun. I really did enjoy it. And I definitely would say that if I was to start an actual guard army, like, well, to flesh out the guard army, I would definitely like to kind of start with leaning towards vehicles, whether it's transports and tanks or just tanks or something. I honestly, I'm going to be honest, I'm so mad I didn't buy the Baneblade. This is a separate rant. I am so mad I didn't buy the Baneblade before they did the thing where they took it out of the store, put it back with an increased price but less stuff in it, and then made the upgrade sprue that they took out like $40 in USD. That's ridiculous. I should have bought that tank. Would have been so cool to have a Baneblade. I probably could have like tiger striped it up in camo or something like that. Damn! Beating myself over. Anyway, moving on. So, we've talked about like I said, I wish there was. I think the biggest complaint I have when it comes to the tabletop about the guard, because as much as I love to talk about what's great, I'm also willing to talk about what's not great. And I will definitely say, I think that the guard could have definitely used a lot more range support. And what do I mean by range support? Well, you see, Space Marines have the problem where they're the poster boys. So every edition they have to get a ton of new models and stuff. And it's getting to a point where you're looking at the codex for the Space Marines, which is the rules book and every data sheet they have. And the the data sheets for the Space Marines are reaching a point where they can probably outnumber like 3 or 4 factions combined. It's getting to a ridiculous point. I don't even own that many data sheets, or all the different different models and units and stuff. It's getting out of hand. But the guard used to have both metal and older plastic of a ton of regiments. You used to have the Cadians, the Death Corps Krieg, the Armageddon Steel Legion, which I think were only in metal, but correct me if I'm wrong, the Catachan Jungle Fighters, they had the Valhallan Ice Warriors, they had the Vostroyan Firstborn, they had the Teuton Desert Raiders, they had the Norman Iron Guard, they had the Praetorian Guard or something that was basically just the British during one of the actual historical wars. I forget exactly which one it was off the top of my head, but we're not going to bother that, we're going to move on. And they had support for a couple of other regiments and stuff like that, and they had a bunch of kits that you could just throw together and kit bash these regiments together, and it was actually kind of cool. But you know what? Apparently, to Games Workshop, there's only 2 major regiments to worry about. They've got the Cadians and they got the Death Corps of Krieg. And the Death Corps of Krieg only matter because they just got a refresh in 10th edition. Although the Death Corps of Krieg are being seen as the quote-unquote new face of the Guard, considering the fact that they literally replaced the Cadians on the codex for the Astra Militarum. So yeah, and a lot of their stuff that they've been putting out has highlighted the Death Corps more than the Guard. I'm gonna be honest, there's so much I could write about. Like, you literally had a review with Commissar Yarrick, like the big Armageddon Steel Legion dude, and you just put out a quick like video that was like, oh yeah, the Steel Legion are coming, we got sketches for them. Like, dog, why didn't you make them earlier? Why didn't you drop us? Like, do you know how cool it would have been? Yeah, you would have had people complaining like, oh, they got the Death Corps Krieg and the Armageddon Steel Legion, probably, but most people would have been like, yes, more range support, this is amazing. Like, honestly, I am rambling to a point that I don't even know at what point I'm going to just stop with this rant about all the different things. But yeah, let me think. We talked about, I gotta think for a second. Talked about I love the Guard, recommended the Cracked-Up video, talked about the lore and stuff that I really like about them. We talked about the fact that I really do like their tabletop and their tactics on the board, and I wish that there was more range support. That's really awkward. My microphone just died on me. My headset just died. But you know what? We're going to keep rolling with it. We're keeping that in the video. I do not care. Like I said, one take. But yeah, what else am I missing? Oh, yeah. So, I talked about maybe doing my own Guard army and stuff like that. I will definitely say it would be really, really expensive, but I think something that would be really, really funny would be to take the Cadian Recon Squad. It's basically just kind of like the Cadians, but with like slightly less Cadian stuff, with freaking like tactical camo cloaks / ponchos over them that I think would be dope as hell. And just basically just taking a bunch of those and kit bashing a little bit and just turning them all into like a custom regiment. I think that'd be like one of the most cool things to do, and to bring a little bit of fun and flavor. I really do wish that On one hand, I really do wish that Kill Team had been Catachans instead of the Cadians, because then the Catachans would have been able to have a guaranteed raid refresh. But on the other token, I feel like if I just wait for Catachan heads or something to put on top of the Cadian Recon Squad, that actually wouldn't look bad. Like bandanas with the rest of it, I think that actually kind of looked dope. I also learned, thanks to a friend of mine, unfortunately, that the Cadian Recon Squad doesn't work with the Rattling heads, because I was really hoping to be able to throw on a boonie hat on one of them and have like a Captain Price at home, but 40k. But that's not happening, so that is not elite ball or whatever the kids say nowadays. I feel old saying that out loud. Oh, I'm gonna get made fun of. I'm trying to think. What else? Oh, right. The other reason that this video was delayed. Helldivers II Warhammer crossover. I get it. I understand people are upset because we only got Kazurkin. However, I want to point out two quick things. This is a quick side rant, and I swear that's the end of this video. Number one, we only saw them painting Kazurkin in the original announcement that said that we were going to get more later. All we saw was them painting Kazurkin, and you can see them actually painting in both the 8th and the 122nd color schemes. What did you expect other than a Kazurkin in those colors? And to all the people who were like, oh, the leak said Deathcore Krieger, oh, we should have gotten Deathcore Krieger, something like that. I understand that. I get what you mean. But the Helldivers are the elite of the elite. They are the special forces equivalent of the Super Earth's armed forces. Like, if anything, we should have gotten a Tempestus Scion, which is the other flavor of Space Marine. And if you really wanted Deathcore, we could have got like a Deathcore Grenadier or whatever. Is it the Deathcore Grenadiers or the Engineer? Can you tell I'm not really that good with that? I think it's the Grenadiers is the special forces or something like that. But like, we could have gotten those thing. But I'm not gonna complain. The armor looks a little off. I think it's because they reproportioned the armor in favor of the normal Helldiver equipment. So I'm not gonna complain too much about that. But it is nice to see both the iconic Cadian 8th and the Cadian 122nd. The what is it? City Fighters or something like that. It's like the bluish one with like the one red pauldron. I do think that actually looks kind of nice. I know a lot of people don't like it. I think it's a nice homage to two iconic kind of Cadian schemes that are shown around a lot, so it makes sense. But yeah, honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I was actually waiting for this because I have Kazurkin that I was gifted, and I really wanted to paint them up. And I've been waiting because I wanted to paint them up in Helldiver schemes and stuff. So I wanted to see what the reveal was gonna have. They had Kazurkin. It did. So I'm probably gonna end up doing a mesh of both the normal Helldiver kind of colors and armor, as well as a mix-up with the Kazurkin armor, the way that their camo is with the really weird and funky colors. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna paint that, but that'll be, I think a combo of that would look really cool. You can comment what you think down below, I don't mind. But yeah, this is getting really long. This is longer than the Space Marine one, and I think like a solid, like, we're hitting 28 minutes, and I think 14 of that was just me excitedly not shutting up about the different guard regiments and saying that they're dope as hell. I think you can tell I really like the guard, despite the fact that I'm still learning the lore for Warhammer in general. So, I think we're gonna call the video here. I think I've rambled your ears enough. I'm probably, as I'm recording this, realizing I should probably lower the decibel on this video, the audio, because this looks like an ear rape, just from what I'm seeing. Yikes. So I do apologize for that. But I thank you for watching the video. Thank you for joining me. We're not going to be doing another 40k video for a little bit, not because, oh, I don't want to talk about it, but the next video I promised was going to be Star Wars Legion. And so the next video, I might actually split into two videos and kind of talk about my adventure through Legion, as well as a video talking about what I think is the best, like, heavy vehicle, like, heavy tanky vehicle kind of army list. And those are going to take me a little bit of time. One, because the Legion video that I actually put together, and like, in a sort of coherent way that makes sense, and I might be able to dig up some pictures for it. I would like to do a little bit of editing. But the Legion video where I talk about the different heavy lists and theory and concepts and stuff like that, one, I want to do research and make sure I get the legal army list that you can make with them and stuff. And two, I do kind of want to make that more of a PowerPoint-y kind of style, and that video is probably going to be closer to something like Auspex Tactics for Warhammer, or Legion Cantina for Legion. big spoiler alert, I do listen to both the channels whenever it comes to Warhammer or Star Wars Legion. So, huge shout out to both of them. I love their channels, I love their content. But yeah, so these are going to take a little bit of time. I'm hoping to get one of the 2 videos out for sure by the end of August. If I can, it would be super cool to have both done in August, but realistically, I may have to kind of shoot for one in August, one in September kind of thing. We're going to see how it goes. Hopefully, I'm able to kind of get all this done. But with that, I think it's going to be the end of this video. Thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for listening to me ramble about who knows. God knows what I said in this. I'm going to listen back to this. I'm going to think, what the hell was I yapping about for half of this? Why didn't you shut up and condense it? But we're doing a single take, and I was kind of a little hyper and energetic about this. So that'll be it until the next video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tactical. I'll see you in the next video, and definitely comment down below if you would like to see more of this kind of content or some other kind of content. So thank you. See you.